So after her mom went missing, she was with her mom's sister for about a couple of days before they decided that they wanted us to keep her. So she traveled with us like a week after the disappearance, and she was kind of like terrified to go by cars and stuff like that. So we would ask her like, "Are you okay? Like, what's wrong?" She's like, "I don't want to go. I don't want to go." Like someone's trying to get her and telling us like, "Don't put me in the trunk. Something gonna happen to me." And so we try to ask her, does she remember what her mom had on when she dropped her off at school that morning and stuff like that.
On February 26, 2021, 38-year-old Cheretha Morrison was supposed to meet with her son after dropping her daughter off at school, but she never showed up and didn't answer her phone. It seemed as though something was wrong, but no one was sure. Later that day, it was discovered that Sharita didn't pick up her young daughter from school, and then the other shoe dropped. Sharita's vehicle was found over 20 miles away from her residence on the other side of Chicago, Illinois. A substantial amount of cash was on the passenger seat, but there was no sign of Sharita. The details surrounding Sharita's disappearance are murky and mysterious. At the time she went missing, she was approximately 3 to 4 months pregnant, which adds yet another layer to the enigma of her disappearance, with few details and much speculation. What we do know is that all signs point to the fact that Sharita did not disappear voluntarily, and it's been nearly 2.5 years since she vanished without a trace. I'm Marissa, and from Wondery, this is episode 394 of The Vanished, Cheretha Morrison's story. Audible's Best of 2024 picks are here. Discover the year's top audiobooks and originals in all your favorite genres like sci-fi and mysteries and thrillers. Audible's curated list in every category is the best way to hear 2024's best in audio entertainment. They have titles like a stunning new full cast production of George Orwell's 1984, or heartfelt memoirs like Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's Lovely One. Plus, there's the year's best fiction, like The Woman by Kristen Hanna, and Percival Everett's brilliantly subversive James. Right now, I'm listening to None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, which is a fantastic psychological thriller. Audible, there's more to imagine when you listen. Go to audible.com/MIA and discover all the year's best waiting for you. Some weeks we bring you a multi-part series, where we go through the case one detail at a time, in order to give you a comprehensive look at everything we learned as we worked on a story. We wish we had enough information on every missing person to do that for you every week, but some stories do not unfold for us that way. Cheretha Morrison's case is one of those, where we had to operate off of what a limited number of people told us and what we could find in the media. We reached out to police, numerous other individuals in Cheretha's life, including many of her origin family members, but no one would talk. In fact, no one would even respond. So we're sharing with you the story that 3 of her nieces via marriage brought to us, because they're desperately hoping to find Sharita, with whom they all shared a close relationship. We started off with Rashonda, who lived with Sharita and was one of the last people to physically see her. To establish some basic information, we asked her to tell us about Sharita.
I'm related to Sharita by her son. Her son, dad, is my uncle. The other side is really Sharita's real blood family, as in like her sister, niece. So my auntie was a real cool, loving, smart, outgoing person. She really stayed to herself. You know, she was really more of a family-oriented person. She didn't really trust many people. She really always had a lot going for herself. She was in a previous relationship with my uncle, but as the years went on, they moved on with their life and got a whole new life for each other. He ended up getting him a fiance, and she ended up having her a guy, and having, which is her youngest daughter now, Glorious, ended up having her. So basically, after she had her, like, we were getting more involved, more closer, Even though she's always been in my life, but, we were just getting more closer once she had her younger daughter. And that's when I used to go over there all the time and spend a lot of quality time with her. Because she's, like I said, she's a real family-oriented person. She was more of a, introvert, only reason I say that is because, her trust is real. She was heavy on trust. If we go to a party, she's not willingly going to be like, oh, yeah, come on, let's go hang out with these little people over here. She's not one of them people. She's more of a, no, we don't need nobody. Let's stay at home. Let's chill, She also one of the people that call you up and be like, oh, what you doing today? Come over. Let's cook. Let's hang out. So a lot of the time, we would go out to family members' houses, family reunions, little get-togethers, parties. On the other spare time, really just be in the house. We used to just meet her, my daughter. We'll just drive around town, just find little stuff to do, to find little restaurants with my sister to go out to, do stuff with the kids for kids' dates. When I used to stay at her house, we used to always make our favorite food, pot roast, string beans and white potatoes, and watch a movie or something. But, she didn't really go out much for real. And if she did go out, it's with family. It's not, oh, we're going to a club. It's, oh, I'm going to go over your uncle's house.
Rashonda ended up living with Sharita through the nationwide shutdown due to the COVID pandemic. And that was a time that they really got to form a close familial bond.
Honestly, we really formed the best relationship over the before she went missing. The last little 2 years, so within that 2019, 2021 range, that's when we formed our best of bond. And that was because at the time of 2019, I was graduating high school. I was going on prom. I had a car, had 2 jobs. I couldn't sit down. So at that time, this is when COVID had just hit. And this is when we all had to basically get laid off of work and school and stuff like that. I live with my grandmother who's 80 years old. My grandma didn't want me in and out the house due to COVID. She didn't want to get sick. I understand. So I used to go over my Auntie Sharita's house on 59th and Troop. It went from every other day, every couple of days to every day. So every day up until she was missing. During that little time, we formed a way better bond. Like I said, we used to stay in the house, cook all the time. She'll go out about 6 o'clock, go to the grocery store, get us some breakfast to make when we wake up. Just homebodies. The whole COVID, we were homebodies. She didn't do much. Everywhere she went, I went. And we didn't do nothing. It was just always family house, home. It wasn't really much. So that's why I just feel like all of this that's happening, it had to be somebody close, because I know I was one of the closest people to her just days before she went missing.
We also spoke to Lashina, another of Sharita's nieces, who described her aunt to us as a fun-loving sister, more than an adult figure in the family.
That is my aunt from a previous marriage. Sharita was a very private person. She had a close inner circle, and that's pretty much who she stayed around. She was very funny, and she was very passionate about her daughter. That's something about her that really stuck out to me. I feel like she tries to make the best thing out of any situation. She's very understanding. She has certain goals. Her main goal was basically to make sure her daughter was smiling all the time.
A third niece, Zakoria, tied up the family tree for us by explaining how she, Lashina, and Rashonda are related to Sharita, and what she remembers so fondly about her aunt and her recently announced pregnancy.
I've been knowing her since birth. She was married to my uncle, and her oldest son is my biological cousin. She was just fun, the fun aunt, did everything with all the kids. My grandparents and my mom and stuff, they've been knowing her since she was a kid. So she's pretty much been in the family the whole time. So she was just lovable. We all loved her. She was real outgoing, the one to get everybody up and party and just have a good time. She told us that she was pregnant. So when she went missing, she was probably about 3 or 4 months.
So to recap, Lashina, Rashonda, and Zakoria are related to Sharita through marriage to her son's father. Sharita's son is a young adult, and after she and her son's father broke up, she remained close to his family. and maintained the strong bonds that she had already developed with her nieces. Sharita was later in a relationship with another man and had a daughter who was 4 years old when Sharita vanished. It's believed that the same man was the father of Sharita's unborn child at the time of her disappearance, though we can't say that with any level of certainty, because Sharita went missing before paternity could be established. However, we know that's what she told people within her circle. This could be a key piece of information, because we know that statistically, pregnancy is a time when we know that women are at an increased risk of being victims of intimate partner violence. Homicide is a leading cause of death for pregnant women, and according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, nearly 20% of women experience violence during pregnancy. By everyone's account, Sharita was happy to be having another baby. She was thriving despite the COVID pandemic keeping everyone at home, and she spent the majority of her time with family. Rashonda told us that her disappearance was like an unexpected slap in the face, and it just happened with no ugly foreshadowing to lead up to it. Here's Rashonda.
The day before, she called me. She told me that she was going to come to my job and buy the little stuff that I put to the side for her daughter. It was some Nike clothes, stuff like that. She's like, I'm going to come to your job in the morning. What time you go to work? I said, I go to work at 9. She said, okay, I'll be there in the morning to get the stuff. So I said, okay, cool. So I go to work. I didn't hear from her. I text her, I'm like, what you doing? But she never had text back. So I was like, okay. I just wait till she look at her phone. I got time. So I got off around, let's say about 1 o'clock. I made it home. Now this time she usually supposed to text me and be like, what you doing? Come over, something like that. But she still didn't text. So I didn't think nothing of it. I just went. I had took a nap. I went to sleep. And then when I got up from my nap, the first thing I saw on social media, I saw it on Facebook first. The first thing I saw was a picture of her. And it was on her page, but her niece had typed the whole paragraph saying her auntie missing and that she might just had needed a break. So like her niece was saying stuff like she didn't think that she was missing, but she's saying she missing. It was a little confusing. So when I saw that or whatever, I didn't scroll no further. I just got off Facebook. I texted her. I said, they said you missing. And the message never went through. So I was a little confused. So I'm like, okay, now maybe it is a little serious. I'm still not thinking of nothing because I'm like, well, I just talked to her yesterday. So she probably just busy. Her daughter usually had her phone. So, she probably doing something.
Rashonda said that she wasn't concerned at first, at least not that something terrible had happened, and that she'd be talking to us 2 years later, with her aunt still missing.
And then I get to getting back on social media, and then as I keep scrolling, everybody's saying, like, she missing. I'm like, no, she's not missing, because I just talked to her, like, it has been, like, 24 hours now, but I just talked to her yesterday as in last night, We were just talking about linking up with each other, so I don't think that she's missing. Just give her a little time. Her phone might be off, just something. I'm just coming up, at this point, I'm just coming up with any type of excuse, because I just know she's not missing. That don't just happen. You're not just missing. So this is when my family, we all get to call, everybody get to calling each other, asking, who may have been the last person. I'm like, well, I know I was one of the last people over there and to be with her and to hear from her. So I don't know about this missing stuff. But then push comes to shove, her sister Sharita, everybody got to calling each other and said it was true. So at that point, I just was in complete disbelief. Like, nah, I don't think she's missing still. And then it went from a day, 2 days, to 3 days, to 2 years. So I just feel like with the type of person that I know that she is and the things that we were doing before she went missing, which was nothing, staying in the house and chilling and with her daughter and my niece, it wasn't too much that we were doing. The one day that I did not come over there, she's missing. I just couldn't believe it.
But what exactly happened? We had hoped to nail down a timeline, as we try to do in every case. But all we were able to learn was what people had heard. This is what we were able to find in multiple news stories that matched up with interviews. On the morning of February 26th, Sharita took her young daughter to school, or at least she was supposed to. Even that basic fact is thrown into question by multiple people. We did learn later that her daughter was likely a witness to something horrific, which we will get into later on in this episode. But as we worked our way